As Jerry was talking about with Gen X, Gen Y, the world around us is changing. There's a lot more opportunity than just Gen X, Gen Y. If you look within Gen X, Gen Y, if you look within the baby boomer group, for crying out loud, there are lots of opportunities in our country to expand our demographics, to expand that pie even more, as was mentioned today. A book that I wrote a few years ago is called The Changing Face of Today's Customer. And it's all about looking at different groups of people as employees or purchasing customers who can help us get through tough times and take things to a higher level. I had a guy named Peter Ueberroth, who is the head of the U.S. Olympic Committee. I first met Peter Ueberroth in 1984 when I was doing work with Disney in L.A., and we had the L.A. Olympics, and he did an amazing job of bringing a multinational, multicultural, multilingual team together to make the first Olympics that made money. And he's been involved with baseball, lots of things. He's just a brilliant guy. And the whole idea behind this is, are we looking at our demographic pie with blinders on? Are we seeing all the squares that are out there? I want to give you a couple of examples of thinking beyond the obvious. When working with international customers and vendors, as you are now more than ever and will in the future more than you are now, you look at things differently. 16 versus 30 squares, whether it's language, whether it's culture. I'll give you an example. When we were challenged as a corporation at Disney, when we were told we could not have our steam locomotive in our park in Japan because that was against rules to have a transportation device called a train in a theme park. We were so upset. How could you do this to us? That's not fair. I'll never forget sitting in a meeting with one of our top Japanese engineers who we'd hired about 5 years earlier than that, who had a very good understanding of both our culture and their culture. He said, let's get the problem nailed down. We at Disney want a train, a steam locomotive that's primarily an entertainment device. The chugga-chugga-choo-choo train with the smells and the sights and the sounds. Is that true? Yes. Great. And the problem with the Japanese government is they don't want us to have a transportation device. Is that true? Yes. He says, then I've got the solution. Let's have a train that isn't a train. And we all said, what are you talking about? He said, instead of having 5 or 6 stations on this loop, we have all of our guests get on at station A. They do a loop and they get off at station A. Technically, they haven't gone anywhere. Talk about seeing beyond 16 squares, right? That flew with the Japanese government. We got what we primarily wanted and they got what they wanted. A real win-win.